You know what? No, I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna take the day off.
What was that? Oh no. I think they're following us. Quick, get to the car. No. Oh God. Is that's casting out demons.
You know what? No scream. Not just appreciate the silence. It'll be most of your life anyway.
Hey guys,
Welcome to it.
and today's a very special day.
Why is that?
22 years ago today, little Zachary Tickles Busby was brought to this world.
Squad!
So, happy birthday, Zach.
Wow.
Happy birthday to you.
I have so many people to thank.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, we didn't go.
Happy
over that.
birthday, dear Zach.
I'm sorry.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Jackson. And Jackson's back again.
Howdy, howdy.
Jackson is the first for Peter, and he's also the first person to ever be on an episode without actually seeing the movie.
This is us telling Jackson about the movie.
This is a...
He is the first demon head
Yes.
to be on the show. So I guess this is kind of a meta show, Demon Heads.
Quite.
This is just a topsy-turvy week. So welcome to part 2 of our birthday week. You're hearing this episode on a Wednesday, so throwing up some tasty ear morsels early.
I'm probably out at the putt-putt course.
Zach's probably hammered.
I am probably very drunk at
Zach
this
is
point.
probably face down, pants down,
At the golf
dignity
course.
down.
Filling up all the golf course holes with my vomit.
He's probably hugging Peter Pan right now.
Yep, he's a little lost boy. Anyway,
Anyway, I'm Zach.
I'm Bailey, and this is Jackson.
And this is Casting Out Demons, a horror comedy podcast made from our blood, sweat, and fucking fears.
Yeah. So, Zach, what movie did you choose for your birthday?
I chose a movie called Dead End.
Very cool. What
Yes.
did your trick or tweet for this movie
Oh, let me
consist
pull
of?
that up. You want to go ahead and tell us yours?
Yeah, and then Jackson, we just want you to make up something that you think the movie's about.
Yeah, actually, let's do Jackson's. Just based on the title, tell us what your
What
trick or
you think
tweet
this
is.
movie is about.
All right. So I'm here to learn today, first off. So this will be a dead end. This the tale of a road that stops and the things that happen on it.
Okay, you could not be more wrong.
All right,
So,
good. Thank God. That would be a very boring movie.
let me tell you.
I actually just drive down a cul-de-sac, see the dead end sign, turn around, and then the credits go.
Well, this is
Dead End is actually. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the movie's about. It's about a never-ending road.
We didn't tell us our trick or tweets.
Well, oh yeah, okay. So my trick or tweet. The never-ending spirit of Christmas makes the viewer pick their brains and wonder, was it all a dream?
So I followed after you, Zachy boy, and I have 2.
Uh-oh. Tweet.
So one, the director decided to start with B-list stars and move up using the 6 degrees of separation.
Wow.
They never made it past the 2nd degree. I like this movie.
Yeah, that's good.
That's solid.
And then I follow my part 2 is if I had to deal with all of this, I would have killed Laura Palmer too, as a nods to Twin Peaks and Ray Wise. Right?
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So
How wise of you.
thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So, Zach, what is this movie about?
So this is a low-budget horror movie that doesn't reach beyond its aspirations. It is about a never-ending road and a family who, unbeknownst to them, travels it and meets a cavalcade of charismatic yet scary characters,
Look at you.
including a woman in white carrying a baby. Or is it? We also have a hearse. Or is it? This road never ends, and neither does the family's seemingly unending hatred for each other.
Or does it?
Or does
Huh.
it?
So I'm reading that this is a French film.
You're absolutely
That's-
incorrect. You're reading the wrong movie.
Strike
All right.
two.
Well,
Strike.
strike 2.
Okay, so the cool thing about this movie that I like, and this is way more than you ever need to know. Okay, so Laura Harrington, who's the mother, is Lynn Shay, who's known for her role as Elaine in the Insidious films.
Yes.
So that's cool. Ray Weiss, she will also be in the Tales of Halloween, by the way, that movie that I was
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about.
very cool.
Ray
Yeah.
Wise is known for playing Leland Palmer on the show Twin Peaks.
Yes. He's also one of the actors who plays Robin Scherbatsky's father on How I Met Your Mother.
He also was in Psych. He's their priest in Psych.
Psych.
And then also, here's something cool. So Brad is the executive producer of Zombievers.
Really?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And then here's something even cool. So Mick Cain, who played Richard, was Justin Long's stand-in in the movie Drag Me to Hell.
That doesn't surprise me. Very Justin Long-esque. Yes, that's the movie.
Well, yeah, French.
Nope.
Oh, no, the directors are French. Yeah, the movie's not
yeah.
French, but the
Yeah.
directors
It
are.
says country, France.
We take that strike back. It's a foul ball.
It
Thank
is.
you.
Oh,
Well, that's still a strike.
Well, okay, instead of it being
So,
strike 3, you
yeah.
stay alive.
All right, it's a balk.
Well, a balk is whenever the pitcher mishaps
yeah.
on the mound and then,
That's
yeah.
just gonna re-swing, whatever.
Speaking of mounds, there are mounds of Christmas joy in this
Yes,
film.
there
There's
are.
This,
Lovely.
this suburban family is just trying to drive to Grandma's house.
Yeah, for...
It's just like the Mary Kate and Ashley movie, but with a really dark, fucked up twist.
Well, Mary-Kate and Ashley are in their own right a
What?
dark, fucked up twist. So the family's driving along, and we get introduced
We
to
killed
the...
Jackson.
Let's start with the characters in the back seat. We have the young...
Richard.
Okay.
who is a dick.
And
I think it was
Then we
intentional.
have Brad.
Brad, who is... what's her name? I have it on here.
I don't know. I know she's Lulu from the Hot Chick. She's the
Yeah.
redheaded one.
She's great.
Marion.
Marion, yes, Marion. So...
Which I think is a nod to the Munsters, because isn't Marion their cousin that's
I'm
normal?
not... I never really watched the
Okay,
Monsters.
I think that's a nod to her. I
Okay.
would think.
So they're in the back seat. Richard obviously hates Brad. Brad has an ear piercing that is important for this.
Later
See,
on.
okay, we'll talk about why I think these scenes where the deaths take place off screen are more necessary than what we talked about in a previous episode where Zelda Rubinstein's death. Well, maybe it was because she was older. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But so they're in the back seat, and we start immediately with just some bitching, and they're talking about Marilyn Manson. But what do they call?
Oh, Marilyn
Bronson? Bronson? Yeah.
Marilyn Bronson.
And so then there's like this argument going on, and then the title screen comes up, and then we come back to the movie, and everybody's asleep. So Ray Wise is like, I'm gonna catch a couple of winks myself.
As he's driving into the car.
As he's
every
driving the car.
responsible parent should do.
So he nods off. A car comes to them. He wakes up. She screams his name, which is something.
Oh, I have everybody's name down except for his.
Ray. Let's call him Ray since that's the actor's name. So he swerves to miss it, spins around. The car's fine. They can't find the car that almost hit them, though. So
His name is
makes-
Frank.
Frank it is.
Frank
Yes, it is
Harrington.
Frank. Frank
you.
Harrington. Yes, thank you. Obviously, you did your homework.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Jackson hasn't even seen this fucking
Yes.
movie. He's already eons ahead of
Yes.
So
They spin around and they look for the car. They can't find it. They make sure everybody's okay, and then they start driving once again.
But they run across a woman on the side of the road dressed all in white.
Yes, that's as they're driving.
With a baby.
And then Frank says, "Wait, I saw a woman in the woods." So he stops and then look, there's nobody in the woods. And then she comes up on, I think it's Mary. What's her name?
Marion?
Marion's side. She comes up to her window.
I'm doing
correct?
my L's. No, it's not helping me out at all. It would be stage right, so it's the left side.
Yes. Good job.
Thanks.
So she comes up, and they freak out, and they're talking, and she's not saying anything, and he offers her a ride because she looks like she's in distress because she's holding a baby, and it kind of looks a little bloody.
Oh.
Yeah, and so they offer her a ride,
She gets in the back seat,
and
Well, that's never a good idea.
who's sitting beside her? It's
Brad.
and then Marion
between
gets
Brad.
out of the car.
because she said I'm going to take a walk
Mm-hmm.
because
She wants to smoke a cigarette and go over a speech in her head where she's going to break up with Brad
Brad.
because Brad said, "If you ever leave me, I'll kill myself." She's like, "I hope that's just a figure of speech." She
they've
wants
been together for a while.
Yes. She wants to smoke a cig. She doesn't do it though, which is cool.
And so I really like.
Not smoking is cool.
And so Brad tells the woman in white he's actually planning on proposing to Marion
Yes.
that night.
Yes. This is whenever they get to the
grandmother's house.
not the grandmother.
No, like when he's
Oh
planning
yeah,
on
I'm
proposing with
saying
you.
he tells her that whenever they get to the little shed,
Yes.
and they go inside to see if there's a phone. That's a very important scene.
Yes.
So they go inside to see if there's a phone inside of the shed. He's like, I plan on proposing to her tonight, and Richard's off in the woods masturbating to.
Okay, so about that, we
Yeah.
need to stop picking so many movies with masturbation because I feel like we're just really jerking around our audience,
Ooh.
and I think they're really getting shafted.
Oh God, I can't.
And
Come
wow.
on,
It's-
Bailey. Come on.
we're here to stimulate their minds, not their So
Well, I feel like you've drained that for all it's worth.
Well, that was the most
Okay.
phallic thing I've ever heard.
You really just slung around that idea.
I'm sorry.
Whack.
Okay, Zach, balls are in your court.
Oh my God, this is great.
I
This
feel
is
like
a good
this-
episode. I have no idea what's happening. There's just a lot of penis
We
jokes.
could. I just want y'all to know we could literally tell Jackson anything that happens in this movie, and he would believe us because he's never seen this.
Foreshadowing demon heads. Anyway, so what's going on? Richard's in the woods. He's got a picture of a Playboy woman hanging up on a tree, and he's masturbating.
Which I'm
And
just glad that he's going with the new state parks motto, which is "Got wood."
he's doing his part to prevent wildfires.
All that friction, I don't know.
That's a small fire hydrant, but let's see what it
Yeah.
does. So that's all happening. So Brad is alone with the lady or the woman in white, and he asks a very important question: "Is can that baby breathe with the blanket covering its face?"
Because I mean, she's like swaddled, but like the whole baby is swaddled.
Swaddled.
Like there's
And then-
not a face
then-
hole.
She said something like, "He's cold."
He's dead.
No, she doesn't say
Oh.
that yet. She doesn't
Oh,
say that yet.
sorry.
Oh.
He asks why, and she's like, "He's really cold." And no, he says she's really cold, and then she's like, "You're right, you're right." He reaches to touch her, and he's like, "Oh, she's really cold." And she goes, "Well, he's dead." And then she starts laughing, and then shit goes down.
And
Things.
then it's like a super. They unwrap the baby, and it's like all messed up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all mutilated.
It's just
look
all
at
you
the
see.
We're,
It
not
looks
even, we're not even lying to you about this yet.
I'm
This
on
is
the
actually
picture.
happening.
so. It looks like someone stepped on a rhubarb pie and then put it in the face where the place of the baby. That's what it looks like.
Oh, how delicious.
Or like maybe somebody stomped on one of those Fruit of the Loom grape characters and then
Yes.
shoved them in a blanket.
Yes.
So,
Swallow that right up.
Yes.
So
yeah.
then that all happens, and they all run out, and they don't know what's going on. And Marion's walking down the street and sees a car, and then there's this moment of her like, "Oh my God, a car that could really help
Yeah,
us." And then the car passes by,
and
and
it's
what
a
does she
black
see?
hearse.
A black hearse.
And she sees
Brad in the
banging
back glass.
on the. Yeah.
And she goes and gets her family, and they start chasing them down, and they can't see the car. Like it seems like Frank is like, "Do I believe her?" And then all of a sudden you hear boom, boom.
And she says, "Oh my God, it's Brad."
It's Brad. And what happens? They get out of the car, and Brad is burnt to a crisp. Yes.
It's the scene with the baby.
Jackson-
Checking it out
Jackson's
for
watching.
myself.
Okay, Jackson, you watch that, and you can tell us your prerogative on it.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
So they find Brad. He's burned to a crisp. The family's kind of detached about the death. They don't really seem to really care that much. The only one that really does is Marion. And she goes silent. And there's a scene where they get Richard to fetch the phone out of Brad's corpse so they could have it to call somebody, which is important because one of the scariest scenes in the movie is the result of the cell phone. So they get the phone out of the corpse, they bring it back to the car, and then they start driving.
Which it's almost comical when the mom's like,
this is...
the mom's like, "Here, let me do it," and then she's like, "Oh, that's filthy."
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh,
what?
she's absolutely there for comic relief, the mother character. And also, see, that's where I'm talking about. Whenever it walks that fine line where it's like dark comedy and it's scary, and it just kind of, it doesn't teeter too far, and ultimately the lane
I
it
mean,
chooses
it's
is horror.
your Shakespearean play on comedic break. Like that's all
Absolutely.
you have to
Yeah.
have that in there.
Absolutely. So they're in the car, and they're driving, and they're trying to cheer up Marion. There's this really creepy scene where they sing Jingle Bells.
Oh,
And-
it's so disturbing.
And then they're driving along, and then she just starts Jingle bells.
She's just in complete shock at
Yeah,
this point.
and it's
Yeah.
starting to freak Frank out. And then Frank's like, "Can you tell her to stop? It's getting on my nerves." And then she just, the entire song does it.
And so the mom, Laura's like trying to like sing with her to like
Yeah.
kind of.
Lift her spirits. Lift her
We
Christmas
completely
spirits.
skipped an entire.
What
scene.
happened? What did we skip?
Did we skip? No, we didn't. Never mind.
No, I don't think so.
Continue.
'Cause then
I
this is-
got an event mixed up. We're fine.
I
We're
think
fine.
y'all skipped a scene, honestly. From my perspective.
Jackson, you are the king.
Jackson, right
Oh.
now you were to be seen and not heard.
But it is Zach's birthday episode, so the birthday boy over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's his party, and he'll cry if he wants to.
This is true. So, then we get to a baby carriage is in the middle of the road, right?
Yeah, and it's black.
No, it's white, right?
Is it?
I'm colorblind, so this is difficult for me.
It's a color.
I think it might be black. You might be right.
I think it's
So Ray Weiss gets out of the car, Frank does, and pushes it out of the way. And this point, Marion's still silent, right? She's not.
Yes.
So Richard goes in the car, and he's like, and then he starts joking with her and everything, and he's like, "We need you to snap out of this. We need you. I need you to snap out of this."
Yeah.
So Richard walks away. Whoa, wait. There's a scene before that that's important because they're in the car, and at one point, Marion just says, "I'm pregnant." And then Richard says, "I smoke weed."
And it's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. So that's important to say because what's about to happen to Richard. Richard goes off into the woods to have himself a little joint. And
It's almost like that scene in Footloose when Kevin Bacon like goes into the woods and is dancing and does all his whole
Oh, okay.
gymnastic routine.
which is made fun of in Hot Rod, by the way.
Oh, that's the best
Oh,
scene in
that-
Hot Rod.
Yeah.
You look shitty, Denise. Anyway, so
We should just do an episode about Hot Rod one day, even though it's not a horror movie.
Oh my gosh.
I have so much to say about that
I
movie.
love them. It's one of the best. Anyway,
I can quote that for days.
it's one of the
Don't get
best
me
comedies
started.
of our generation. I would absolutely argue.
So are you down to do it one day?
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Please have me on. Please.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Okay, we've got to stop. We're getting.
So he's in the
This
woods,
is a
having
dead end.
himself a little smoke, and then he's going over the idea. He's like, "Man, I'm gonna be an uncle, Uncle Dick. Yeah, that's what he's gonna have to call me, Uncle Dick. What's up, man? I'm Uncle Dick." And he's practicing all that stuff, and then the woman in white shows up.
Oh.
She removes her clothes.
Oh.
Yeah.
He says, "I love you."
As she rips his
He-
bottom lip.
Yeah,
off.
she kisses him and rips his bottom lip off, and blood just starts pouring
Jackson,
out.
we're not lying to you. Like this is act. This
Yeah.
is real.
Whoa.
This is real.
That's so rude, man.
Yeah.
It's like a siren.
So then the car drives by. We see Richard in it, and they all start chasing him down. And they're going as fast as they can. Marion's finally snapped out of whatever she was in, and she's like helping out. And then they're driving, and the body comes out. They run over Richard.
And he's burnt to a crisp
Yes.
as well, with just one hand sticking out. And so then we find out Laura's like, "Do you remember that time we went to New Orleans?" And Frank's like, "We never went to New Orleans." She's like, "Of course you didn't take us because you're not his father."
Yeah. So a little twist: Richard's not Frank's son. Maybe not. There's some questioning to whether or not that's actually true. But there is a point in the movie wherever Frank tells this really heartfelt story. Frank is a beautiful character in this movie.
Oh,
by
I
the way.
love Ray Wise. I
Yeah,
think
he's
guy.
a great guy in this movie too. There's a scene that literally almost makes me cry, which is weird in a horror movie.
Yeah,
'Cause
I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about,
filled
yeah.
with so much heart. It's such a beautiful and vulnerable and kind of this. It's not something you really see in horror movies very often. But we'll touch on that later. So they're Richard. They agree to take Richard with them,
Uh-huh.
and at that point they Ray Weiss gets some whiskey. That's important. And then they also find the gun, which is apparently like a pellet gun of some sort.
It's a Christmas present because you have to realize Laura at this point goes into shock, but it's
Oh, yeah.
not like Marion did. She just like goes insane, and so you have to realize her brother. There's a part where where Frank's like, yeah, he walked in on him like jerking
Off to a gun magazine,
gun
yeah.
magazines, and so she's like, he's been through a lot, and so you have to realize they have presents on the side of the road, which they take out of the trunk. In order to
Make room
Richard in
for
there.
Richard's body.
And so he unwraps the whiskey.
Yeah. And
They
the
haven't
gun.
unwrapped the gun yet, have they?
They unwrap the gun at this point. because they don't have the presents anymore.
Oh
after
yeah,
that.
they do.
Yeah.
You do. And so
It was
Which is-
Marianne's idea.
yeah, they unwrap the gun. And
So then they start driving, and they see. Well, earlier I forgot to mention that they saw a sign for what's this place called?
Marcotte.
Marcotte, which is important. So they see this place for a sign for Marcotte. It doesn't have a mileage or anything. It just says this way,
and
Marcotte.
it's not on the map.
It's not on the map.
They've been looking at the map,
and they convince themselves that
Yes.
it's a military base.
And
this
also-
is the road that they're
Yeah.
on is
Oh,
a
yeah.
military road.
Oh yeah, and then also the time hasn't really changed.
It's
been
7:30. Yeah.
It's been 7:30 this entire time. They've been driving
Yeah.
for hours, and like they're down to half a tank of gas, and they had a full tank of gas when they started.
So Jackson's wheels are turning, much like the.
Just
Oh,
sounds
I
very
think I have an idea for this. We can not say the ending, and we can get Jackson to predict what happens at the end.
Oh hell yeah, that'd be very good.
based off of okay.
Just
alright.
our knowledge of this. And so, so then,
They're driving towards Marcotte.
and Laura has lost it. She's like eating the pie at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just like, his name's Michael. I'm calling him Michael because that's what his alleged biological father
Yeah.
wanted to name him.
Yes.
But Frank wanted to name him Richard,
Mm-hmm.
and so I mean he's just lost it.
She's
just
lost it. And she's eating this pie, and then there's one part that's pretty funny. She's like, "We do have potato chips, or I found them, or something like that."
And they're like, if you eat too many, you're gonna throw up.
and then
she's
there's the
like,
next
"No,
scene,
I'm not."
and then she's throwing up.
And then
That's
she's
why they have to
retching,
stop
yeah.
the car, which is a very important part. Every time they stop the car, something bad happens.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, they devise a plan because I think he came up with. No, that's a little later.
He had a stroke of genius.
No, that's later though, right? That's after what happens, right? Because they stop because
'cause
she falls asleep later, remember? And then she wakes up and she thought that he was.
And she thought that she thinks that her dad's gone. She thinks Frank's gone.
But
so
this
Marion
this
wakes
is later.
Up.
That's later.
No, they're driving.
Because no, that's later because she's already dead at that point.
She
Yeah.
shoots him in the leg when they stop.
Oh, you're
And
so
then they get
right.
back in the car. Okay.
You're so right.
I feel like we're like the John
No,
Mulaney skit where it's like at the New
I'm
York
right.
Post.
I'm right about this because they're driving and they stop because she pukes, and then she shoots him in the leg at that part. That's what happens.
Okay.
Because the other part where they stop, the reason that it's so significant that she thinks her father's gone is because everybody else is gone. So she thought that she lost him too. Whenever she falls asleep, wakes up, and the car's parked and he's
Okay.
gone.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're totally right. Okay.
Yeah. So
then-
whenever
they
she
stop
pukes, she shoots Frank in the leg.
because Laura's lost, and she's like, "Oh, this gun isn't real," and she shoots
It's
Frank.
a
and at
game.
first-
Bang bang, you're
yeah.
dead. And
And
he's
at
like,
first-
okay, I'm dead, honey.
Yeah, and at first we don't see where he gets shot.
Yeah.
She falls, and he's like, "The bitch shot
me in the leg."
So Marion runs over and she helps him, and at that point is
Mm-hmm.
when Laura quasi snaps out of it and
Mm-hmm.
kind of knows what's going on. She's like, "Yeah, I fell asleep, but I'm kind of good considering." And so then they start driving down the road again.
And she's like, oh my god, they're waving at us. Hi, guys.
And then she says Lorraine or Loretta
Mm-hmm.
or something. And she's like, I see whoever. And Frank's like, that's her friend that died 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's like, I don't care when she died. There she is. Why are they sad? Why are they sad? Hi. Hi, everybody. And then she's like, I want to go see Lorraine, if that's her name.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, we're not going to stop to see Lorraine. She's like, I can go see her if I want to. They're like, no, you can't. She's like, yes, I can. And then so she gets out of the car while it's moving. And he's
Oh.
going 60 or 70 miles an hour. So they stop, and
She's not there.
Yeah.
I love how they pan over the contents of her purse. Though we just see a shoe, and then her purse is spilled, and it slowly pans out.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And they're like, where is
It's a great
she? She
shot.
must have broken her neck.
And then they see the hearse coming, which is symbolic of everybody's death.
and it pulls up.
That pulls up, and then they take a shot at it, and he's like, I got him. So he backs up, and the hearse disappears, and then out of the woods comes the mother, and she's like, I think I'm okay. You know, I think it, and then
Yeah.
her head is split open, and you can see her brain.
And Ray Wesley is like, there's something wrong with her head.
She fingers her brain, for lack of better terms, until she
Yeah,
like
finger blasts
orgasms.
her brain. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she
We're
does
not-
that.
I swear to God, we're not lying. I'm sorry that I
She just
started
starts
with
doing that, and then she starts screaming like
She's orgasming.
Wow.
what Frank was never able to do for her, apparently. And she dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Hey, Daddy, I made the cheerleading team. This is the happiest day of my life," and it's
Yeah.
so sad because she has 2 children. She is gonna.
Yeah.
She knows she's gonna be a grandmother. She got married.
Yeah, and that's
And
how
so
she ends.
does. Yeah.
So they put her in the car too. because I mean that's your family. You want to
Yeah.
bury them, so they're
It
driving.
reminds me of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, or not National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the first National Lampoon when they put,
Oh my god.
or I mean Little Miss Sunshine too.
Okay.
Little Miss Sunshine, yeah, definitely. That's what I'm getting out
Anyway,
of this.
there's two. Anyway,
So Frank and Marion keep driving. They're driving for a long time. Marion falls asleep, wakes up, car is empty. She's like, Dad, where are you? And then he's like, oh, I'm right here, it's fine. And he's like, I came up with an idea. Well, I think Marcot's a coast military base, because if this is right and we keep driving for another hour, we're going to hit the coast. And we'll be fine. This has got to be a military road. It's a secret military road. And it's just a straight line. We're going to be fine. They start driving. What happens next, Bailey?
okay, so they start driving.
So they start...
Then they. Oh my God! What does happen next? I don't know. Zach, you're the birthday boy.
Okay. So I know at this point he starts drinking heavily, and they've been driving for a while, and they realize that they should have reached the coast by now. A lot of time passes, and there's... they get out of the car. Why do they get out of the car, though? Why are they getting out? They go to the shed, right?
Yeah.
But isn't that...
No, because Frank at this point has already tried to kill himself. Remember? That's why he gets.
Yeah,
out
he
of
pulls the
first time.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
like, no, don't you dare leave me.
Yeah, and so he's really drunk, and... Wait, who was driving when they get to the shed, though?
Marion.
No, I don't think so, right? She starts driving whenever they
I
get...
feel like this. I swear we're not drunk. I feel
Yeah.
like it sounds like we're drunk recording these because we keep forgetting.
It's
what
a lot
happened
to
in the
remember,
beginning.
especially when you do
Yeah,
three
you'll
in
have to
one
realize
night.
we're doing 3 episodes in one night. I promise that we actually watched all these movies. And so, let's not get wrapped up in
let's not get into
logistics.
this, man. Okay, so at one point, Marion's driving the car, and Frank is making a list of things that he wants to do.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to buy one of those
It was-
Marilyn Bronson CDs.
Marilyn Bronson, and then she corrects him and say Marilyn Manson. Then he's like, you know what I really want to do? I want to get an
An
Atari computer gaming system, and I just want to learn how to play those. Then he thinks of something, and then he writes down something. And then she's like, what are you writing down? He's like, none of your business.
And so then they go in the woods.
Okay, so they did find the shed. He was driving then, and they go into the shed, and this is where he breaks. Okay, so Frank was driving.
Let's do a cul-de-sac
Yes,
U-turn here.
cul-de-sac U-turn. Frank was driving. They end up at the shed, the one from earlier where they go in to find a phone. Frank is in there.
And we see the woman in white.
Woman in the white, because she goes to get a flashlight from the car. Marion does. He's lighting matches.
And she blows out the match.
She blows out the
And then
match.
you hear Ray.
He screams,
Ray
and then
Rice scream.
she runs in. Ray Rice takes his... Ray Rice.
Ray
Whoa.
Rice.
Okay. Ray Weiss
Yeah,
takes
let's correct that.
takes
super fast.
takes a swing at her.
Oh god.
That was a
Frank
really good slip.
Frank takes a swing at Marion and luckily misses. And so they go back to the car. Marion's like, I'm driving now. Makes a list, and they stop driving to go into the woods. They go into the woods. They find this barbed wire fence that Frank runs into. They end up going under it, and whenever they're walking through a little bit, and they see some headlights. They're like, oh shit, we're safe. And they get to the car, and they realize it's their car, and that somebody had gotten inside of it and turned the lights on, because they left the lights off whenever they left. So that leads Frank to go to the back seat to see if his wife is alive again. She's not. She falls on him. He screams. And then they're like, one thing's for certain, we're not getting back in the car. Cut to, they're in the car, they're driving. And then what happens?
So then they're driving. She
Mm-hmm.
you forgot that part where she throws whiskey out of the window.
Oh yeah, she threw his whiskey out of the window.
And so he slaps her.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, this
beats
is
her
at the
up.
shed. Yeah, he beats her up.
And punches her out, and then kind of comes out of it and is like, oh my god, my baby, what did I do? So he puts her in the back seat too.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
very
that's when she
important.
wakes up. Yeah.
And how does Frank die? I forget.
Colliding with
No, he goes into the woods, and it's like off screen, right?
Yeah, he goes into the woods, and so Marion wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone to the woods or whatever, and it's off screen. He goes shooting at the woman in white.
Yeah.
He's like, "You want to mess with my family?" Blah, blah, blah. And we just hear like a slashing, like a
Yeah, and he's
it's almost like the Wilhelm scream of like
Yeah.
slashing. And so then Marion gets out of the car and she
Mm-hmm.
looks up, and we don't see anything. We just see kind of some mangled thing and some blood dripping.
Mm-hmm.
So then the hearse starts pulling up. And she's like, "Go ahead and take me. Let's get this over with."
And then
Blah, blah,
the woman in white walks up, and then she's
Yeah,
like,
"He's not here
He's
for
not
you."
here for you." And then they pull away, and then she walks up,
There's
There's 4 body bags lined up right in front of her.
So,
And then she turns around, and some headlights come towards her. And Jackson, how do you think this movie ends?
Is it the hearse?
Well, it's the hearse, definitely, but
Okay.
how do you think this movie ends? Give me a prediction.
Okay, so to tell y'all what I've gathered here, this is what I've gathered. Every time they stop, something bad happens. They just keep going. They don't know where they are on the map. There's they feel like they're being played with, basically. There's a woman in white who keeps reappearing and killing people. People in the car die.
You got it, you got it.
They get put in the back seat. So I think, I think she. It's one of two things. She either has an encounter, and she's forever scarred or dead, or she ends up just magically going away from the situation with little explanation.
well, so if you would have guessed that she woke up in a hospital,
Okay.
you'd be right. And then so
Magically getting away from the situation.
she
Almost
wakes
close.
up, and then she's like, and the doctor's like, "Don't worry, you're both fine."
You left out a scene because she wakes up and she's in the back seat of the car, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
headlights are coming towards them, and then cut to
Yeah.
hospital bed. She's waking up in a hospital.
So do you remember whenever the movie started, and Frank was driving, and almost hit a car because he fell asleep?
Yeah.
So that's the scene we see right before she wakes up in the hospital. And then there's a doctor standing over her. You're both going to be okay, referring to her and her
And
kid.
She's like, I'm pregnant. Doc's like, you're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be
Wow.
fine. So the doctor walks out of the room, and this dude who looks like an undertaker walks up,
So
and he's like,
fun fact about him, he is the Man in Black. He was Nigel Townsend on Crossing Jordan, which I loved growing up. He was one
Okay.
of the doctors
Yeah,
on
for
Crossing
sure.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
so he's
Not
like,
him.
how is she? He doesn't talk like that, but whatever. And she's like, oh, she's gonna be fine, but everybody else in the family, they didn't make it.
And then they hit a woman and her baby.
Head-on collision killed the woman and her baby. And then Jackson's starting to pick up on this. So, and then, what happened? And then he's like,
So then-
I'm the one that found them, he says. I pulled up on the scene of
found
the wreck or whatever. And then they leave the hospital, and he's like, well, thank you for everything you did. I didn't get your name. And she's like, Dr. Marcotte,
Marcotte.
which was the town they were traveling to.
Okay.
And then she goes to her car, tries to start it up, doesn't
start.
work. She gets in his car and drives away. And then we get cut to the cleanup crew
On Christmas Day.
on Christmas Day.
And they're like, I should be. They're
I should
cleaning
be
the
at,
road.
I should be at home eating a lot of food. And then
I'll
he's
let
like,
you wrap it up since it's your birthday
Yeah.
and this is good.
he's like, I should be at home getting stuffed right now. And then the other guy goes, so should they. And he's like, oh shit, yeah. And then he's like, oh, what is this? And he's like, I don't know. What do you got there? And pulls up this note. List of things I want to do. Number 1, buy an Atari video game. Number 2, be the best grandfather in the world.
It's Frank's note.
That he
Like, I
wrote
don't
supposedly after the car accident. Which begs the question, did they actually hit the lady in white? Did this all actually happen? Bailey, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Jackson, what do you think after hearing that ending?
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure I could see Jackson's face.
That's
expression
rough.
right now.
that's rough. That plays with you as the viewer. I mean,
Yeah.
as the listener here, I'm struggling to understand.
It's a hard
The-
dot to
the-
connect. It really is.
I can't. I feel like that's a visual motif.
Also,
That's rough. That's
can
rough.
I suggest doing this more often? Like once a month, we have Jackson come in and you don't watch a movie, and we just describe a movie to you.
Because this is great. The
I really
reaction
love
from this
this,
is great.
yeah.
We should start filming these things because of this.
That'll be your one video for the month.
So I feel like the ambiguity of the twist makes the movie seem like it didn't want to pick a lane. No pun intended. I guess it's so the viewer can watch it either way and leave the comfort of understanding the movie out. Since there's no logical explanation for the events taking place, the viewer is forced to pick their brains and
Okay.
try to discover some absolution, but there is none to be found. And normally this type of ending would piss me off and make me scream, fuck you, M. Night Shyamalan. But this movie is about a never-ending straight road. It only makes sense for the movie to have one fork at the end of it. Also, I think it was the director's intention to leave the audience the same way the directors left the family unsure of what the fuck is happening.
Well, I put on here on my notes, I have, do you think Dead End is symbolic of the destruction and deterioration of their family?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it definitely works on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Because I feel like maybe, like in my head, I also put maybe this is like purgatory for horror movie characters that die.
I feel like all the characters are at a crossroads, which is weird because it's a straight road, and like I feel like it's where
So
they're in a
watching
place.
the Britney Spears movie.
Oh yeah. Not that piece of shit film, but
But it did give us Taryn Manning. So.
that's true.
And
this is true.
Justin Long and Zoe Saldana. And a bunch
You
of
know,
people.
just hearing this stuff makes me like with the whole like being stuck on this road. It just sounds very Blair Witch Project, and it's like sort of extra dimensional like properties. Like they're just sort of stuck,
Yeah.
like outside of what appears to be reality.
Yeah,
Because in
absolutely.
the end, the timeline is mixed up. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so in what order does things happen here? Is it like Interstellar where days are different somewhere else? Like, that sort of thing. I don't know.
Way to tie Interstellar into Dead End, by the way.
No
Kudos.
problem, man.
Okay, listeners, for those of you who don't know, I'm the only person alive that didn't like the movie Interstellar.
I love Interstellar.
I see why. Okay, I'm going to be the medium between y'all two
Thank you, Jackson.
today.
You're our median.
I see why you say that. Because that movie had a lot of really, really unexplained things because it was so rushed, but they had to rush it. Anyway, that's
Yeah,
another
no, I
movie.
respect it as a film. I think the music was great. I just have some problems with the screenwriting. Anyway, not my point right now.
Poor man.
Out of all the research I did on the internet, not much is said about this film, and I think that makes it that much better. And I'll explain a little more why later. But I feel like it's the very nature of this film. It makes you feel like you're a part of a secret. It makes you feel like
Yeah.
you're in on this inside joke. You're like, wait, is this really supposed to be a movie? I feel like that's what draws people initially to whenever you really want to be a person that's like, my favorite genre is horror movies, because it feels like you're a part of this club that not anybody
Yeah.
else really knows
It's
what's
kind of
going
like
on.
drunk history. I feel like it's like the John Mulaney bit when he's like the New Yorker Post is when you ask somebody to read a newspaper and then text you what they remember. I feel like this is like us describing that movie. This movie is like
Yeah,
our
I can
drunk
see that.
history.
Yeah.
It is-
That's funny.
And I remember what's amazing about this movie is that I heard about it when I was maybe like 13 years old, 14 years old. And my friends were talking about it. My friends Robert, Dylan, and Jaron. They all claimed to have seen this movie about a never-ending road. And they talked about how crazy it was, talked about how scary it was. And they couldn't remember what it was called. Because honestly, the name of the movie really doesn't... It's not super fitting. It works. But it doesn't work perfectly. So I guess that's why they didn't remember it. But it was kind of like this weird legend. You know, I had always, me and my brother had talked about, like, what do you think this is really about? Because me and my brother, super interested in making movies. We made movies, like, since I was 6 years old. So we have, like, we were, like, filling in the blanks that our friends couldn't remember. And we are like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And then one night, and this is another reason why Wet Hot American Summer will forever be my favorite movie. I was watching Wet Hot American Summer on Stars, and the next movie coming up was a movie called Dead End. And I was like, what is this? Why do I want to watch this? Start watching it, and 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is the fucking movie. And this is years after I've heard about it for a long time and just built it up in my head to
yeah.
be this giant amalgamation of these crazy ideas that I couldn't comprehend and didn't understand why they were put into a movie. And I went and got my brother and we watched it, and it didn't disappoint us.
Well, see, I like, so I'd never seen this movie before. This is the first time, I think the first time that you've seen a movie and I haven't, I think in the history, in the history of this. So I wrote down, when she's possessed, she, you know, like how she like does the brain thing, she like finger blasts her brain, and, she like tells Frank, she's like, coming out of here, she's like, I know that I haven't been able to always fulfill your needs sexually, so when we get out of here, you can do whatever you want to me, and I mean anything. And so I wrote down, you know, like when we're talking about possession, that's one of the main causes of possession. And so that's when I knew that something was still wrong with her. Because at first you're unsure. You're like, maybe she snapped out of it. And then also I like how it kind of plays on the urban legend of the hitchhiker.
Okay.
And how it kind of alludes to
The woman in
there.
white being the hitchhiker, and then whenever she
exactly, when he
shows
tells
up, all
the
hell breaks
story,
loose.
too. And also he tells the story about like how the couple picked up the little girl, and then there was a blood curdling scream. They turned, the little girl's gone, and they stopped just in time to not go off the cliff. And I mean that's foreshadowing of, you know, kind of what's going on in their situation. It's very you could tell that it's self-aware.
So you
at
think
point.
that maybe that story in there is kind of telling of what maybe the movie actually is, and maybe that all these events did take place, and that her shriek whenever the car is about to hit her is symbolic of the fact that she's screaming right before she goes off the cliff. And maybe all of this actually did happen, and Marion just survived. And I just don't understand how you would explain the doctor's name being Marcotte if it wasn't all in her head and in a coma dream. But what about the note at the end? You know,
the thing that I really want to talk about is the line where they get a flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank looks at Richard and he said, "You handle that lug wrench like a whore handles a baby."
Wow.
Damn.
Because because Richard says "fuck" and he's like, "Watch your DD language," and it just made me chuckle. I'm Catholic, so I don't want to say that phrase.
For people that don't know, she's saying goddamn language.
Yeah.
She did the thing, so she's fine. She's not going to hell now.
So yeah. Also, I like how I think, and this is just me.
Go ahead.
I think that how they look in the movie is how they died in the car wreck. That's how I perceived it. So
oh yeah, I perceived it that way too.
They got projected. Mm-hmm. So you know what I'm saying? So
well,
she got projected by the car. Marion got pushed out of the car.
Yeah,
is what the doctor says.
Yeah, that she was thrown from the car, and the fact that at one point she's the only one not in the car, and the entire family's moving forward into maybe the afterlife without her, including the woman in white and the baby who's already dead.
So that's super cool. What do you think about them not showing what Richard or Brad looked like?
I think that it's a nice touch, you know, because obviously this is a low budget film, and the fact that they're able to still interact with their bodies even though they're off screen, I feel like it's a very crucial element to, like I said earlier, the movie is about people who don't know what the fuck's going on. So by hiding as much as they can, the directors, that is, from the audience, we are forced to put ourselves in the shoes of the family and also not know what the hell's going on. Which is a risky filmmaking technique because you can come up a little short. You can always leave the ending a little too ambiguous. And then here we are talking about it, and I don't think out of the three of us that have seen it have any idea what the ending actually means. What actually happened here? You can make a strong argument on either side. And like I said, maybe that's because the directors don't want you to have any comfort in knowing what the ending is. So it sticks with you and you never actually understand what happens. Kind of like Marion's character, who will never actually know what happened. So
another note I put down on here is Richard's dancing scene reminds me of The Battery, because it's like all they have left in that moment. And it made me think of that as well.
Absolutely.
With Ben?
Yeah, Ben's the one that dances. Yeah.
I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, don't worry. Ben and
Mickey.
Mickey.
Good old Mick.
So I mean that's pretty cool. So what would you change about this movie?
You know, I mean, I don't necessarily believe this would make it a better movie, but I would make the ending a little bit more certain. I think that's for more selfish reasons, just so I could really understand what happened in this movie. But this is truly the first movie, save for maybe Inception, where I don't know how it ended. You could watch it anyway. Like Inception, how the top is spinning at the end. Is it a dream? Is it not? Is it about to end? Has it given enough time to end? And in this, she wakes up in the hospital. Doctor's Marcotte. There's a guy driving a hearse. And it makes sense. Maybe she saw it while she's going to the hospital. Subconsciously, it's in her head. Maybe she saw it at the scene of the car accident.
Maybe this all happens on the drive to the hospital.
Yeah. Maybe.
Ooh.
But what about the note? Like, that didn't happen until then. Frank didn't know that she was pregnant until after the alleged car accident happened. So how can the note exist? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, dude. It's
I
trippy.
don't know. Trippy, man.
Fucking traps, man.
Oh my god. So what would you rate this movie? Jackson, having never seen this movie, what would you give it?
Given that it's so ambiguous, I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it.
I think it's definitely enjoyable despite the ending being so uncertain. I think
and endings are like my favorite. Like
it's still a
endings
good
make the
ending.
movie.
It's just
I have a motto: beginnings suck. It's hard to make a good beginning. It's like really hard to do that, and it's okay. I give a lot of movies slack, but if the ending is like rough, that
see. But the thing is, the
tough.
ending, it's very satisfying, at least like cinematically speaking.
Okay.
You feel fulfilled, but then at the end of it, whenever the credits start happening, you're like, wait a second, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I feel like, I don't know.
Anything that gets you talking to the screen, I think that's.
It's such a polarizing movie in that way, where it's still like, you can come down either side of it, and you're not really sure what to make out of it, and it's just a perplexing movie in that way that, I don't know, it sticks with you.
Well, I mean, and the directors were also French, and so, like, with movies like Breathless and things like that, we don't have a real timeline. There's not really a concept of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe they got into all these fights before. You know what I'm saying? They could have gotten on the way to Grandma's house,
touche.
and then they could have gotten hit after. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's an interesting take on it. Maybe that all did happen, you know?
yeah. I just didn't like it because I always joke at the end of every movie, like when somebody's like, "Don't tell me I haven't seen it," I'm like, "Oh yeah," and then Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time. And
Yeah.
with this movie, I can't say that because it would.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like,
Literally.
You know, I'm like, I can't.
so what would you change about the movie?
So I had mixed feelings about Brad.
Mm-hmm.
I had mixed feelings about Brad's character because his character just kind of goes hard and goes fast. So, like, we automatically, in, like, the first 10 minutes, Richard doesn't like him. Which, first of all, when he does the whole dick cheese thing, his name's Richard.
Yeah, I know.
Why does no one throw out a dick joke back?
I don't know. If I was there.
That's what I would change. So...
Wait, that's what you would change, is that nobody
No one
says a
makes a
dick
dick
joke
joke.
to Richard?
No one got a stroke of inspiration.
Haley is on it this episode. This is just for you, Zach.
This-
Happy birthday,
Happy
man.
birthday.
You're really stroking my birthday ego.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And
It's been really hard on me, but it's been a good day ultimately.
Oh, man.
Come on, that was a pretty good one.
Oh,
Oh,
my gosh.
this is rough.
That's what she said.
Always.
What would you change? What else? Is that it?
So, I would change that. I have mixed feelings about them not showing Brad and Richard.
Okay. Why
Because
so?
I mean, your imagination's always going to be worse than what anything looked like, and that's why
Absolutely.
I think that's why we like ambiguous endings here at Casting Out Demons, because we like to imagine what happens when those credits stop.
and I think by showing
so-
only a little bit of them, it kind of invites like what you can
Yes.
imagine the rest of their body looking like, which
Yeah,
is a good
I do
trick.
too.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
good trick for like low budget films, and also to a horror movie where it's
Yeah.
honestly up to the viewer to have a suffice imagination to where they can be terrifying to themselves.
Also, I think they kill off Richard just a little bit too fast. Just a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
think so.
I think that he could have lasted for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he
don't-
had some redeeming qualities. As I don't know, like he didn't seem like a terrible person.
Yeah,
Richard hated him,
he
but
was
that's.
just a teenager.
Yeah.
Doing.
We forgot to
teenager
say
stuff.
that Marion was a psychology student and was trying to become a psychiatrist, which is an important characteristic of her.
Yeah, which I mean, that could be chalked up to this was all in her head because she was a psychiatrist. It could be her way of dealing with it. So those
Don't-
are like the little things I'd change.
You'll never rated the film.
We are going.
Yeah. So I gave it an 8.4.
Jackson, shut up.
You
Just
went.
kidding.
You started it and then
Yeah.
went away
I
from
did.
it.
Yeah, no.
So I gave it an 8.4, and I feel like the legend of the movie paired with the dark comedy that takes a back seat to the amazing concept makes it a must-see for any demon head worth their weight in blood, sweat, and fears.
Good way to tie that all in. Brand
no
awareness.
problem.
Brand awareness. I gave it a 6.2.
Okay.
I liked it, and it struck the nostalgia chord for me because it reminds me of like a sci-fi original movie.
Yeah, it's like a really good sci-fi original movie.
Yeah, it's like right up there with if you've ever seen the movie Mortuary.
Never seen it.
Horrifying. That and the movie Boo are both really good ones. Anyway, I liked it, but I got ahead of it because
How so?
halfway through, I wrote down on my notes, you can see here, did the Harringtons die in the car accident and died the way they did in the accident?
See, but did they? That's still a question. I don't think if you ask the question early, maybe you can say that you got ahead of it. But ultimately, in my mind, whenever you get ahead of a movie, you have an answer before the movie gives you an answer.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
and the
with
movie
the-
never gives you an answer.
But I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew, I was like, this is going to end.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I got
it's-
a little bit ahead of it.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was very fun.
It's a romp.
Yeah. I can't even imagine the Jerry Springer episode that would ensue after these family hijinks.
See, that's an interesting thing that you would say about the getting ahead of it. It's like it sounds like it's designed for you to kind of get ahead of it.
I think
a
so
little
too.
bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean,
just
it's
given
a
by
lot of
how
fun.
like step by step it goes. I don't know,
You
Yeah.
never rated the movie, Jackson.
man. I'll go with
Yeah.
the Batman symbol, the number 6, and the letter Q.
Okay,
Oh,
sounds
there.
good to me.
Man, man.
That adds up. If you're keeping score at home, that's about an 8.1. Okay, if you could recast this movie, and I want.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
I would change. Oh, I lost it. I thought it would be kind of cool if like all of their presents like each had a symbolic meaning. So like they unwrapped every present like something
That would be
was
really
symbolic
cool.
of something.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
No, that'd be. I
I
think that's a good idea. It's
Okay.
a wasted gift, if you will.
Okay, so let's get back to the present moment.
Present moment. Who would you recast, starting with Ray Weiss?
Ray Weiss. I would recast.
And you have to recast. You can't keep him because Ray Weiss, obviously, great job.
Yeah.
It's hard to say goodbye to you.
Ray Weiss. What about?
Ray Romano.
Oh God.
Can you? Everybody loves a dead end.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see here.
Vince Diesel.
Vince Diesel. That's not his name. It's Vin Diesel.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Vince Diesel.
What about
Okay.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
Akuna Matata. I don't know.
You don't know who Vincent D'Onofrio is?
No.
Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
Ooh,
The
okay,
guy
okay,
that's
okay.
always like,
What about Christopher Maloney?
oh shit, yeah, Christopher Maloney. That's who's driving. The mother. Who's gonna be the mother?
And you can't say Mariska Hargitay.
Can I say Molly Shannon? I think she could take that role on.
Okay, I'll take it.
Although if you've seen the Wet Hot American Summer series, you understand why that's a little funny. So I haven't seen it. Oh my god, I want to watch
Oh my God.
it.
Remember that one time we'd record 3 episodes of this?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, so then
That's what I'm doing on
who
my
would you choose
birthday.
for Richard?
Oh, that's what I did on my birthday.
Who would you choose for Richard?
Who would I choose for Richard? I want to
You can
jokingly.
toss in
I want to
some-
jokingly say Michael Cera.
I kind of want to say, but that's another Wet Hot American Summer person. that would be
See,
in
I
it.
don't know any of the dialogues, so I can't say any of these,
Okay.
unfortunately.
What about Miles Teller?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally. Ooh.
It's kind of a big budget film at this point.
He's
but- and
also-
he's getting older.
Really hot.
Huh?
That's really hot.
Is he? I hadn't noticed. Who plays?
What about Brad? We got Peck Absley from It Follows.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for Marion, we get the girl who played the lead in It Follows.
I don't know.
I think she can handle
I
it.
think she could handle it.
Yeah.
I just feel bad because we're like picking everybody from the same.
That's fine. And then who plays the lady in white?
Did you know the Lady in White? I forgot to mention this. You know the episode of Friends when they're in love
Oh,
with
dude, this is
the
weird.
gym lady?
No, I
The
didn't.
gym lady in that
yeah.
episode? She's the woman in white. It's the lady that she's
I
in
picked
love with.
Lisa Kudrow to play the woman in white.
Huh.
Are you serious?
I'm serious, and you went to Friends. That's so weird.
We've been doing this for too long, folks.
Yeah. Then I actually picked the actual baby Jesus to play the baby.
And it's
Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
anyway. So
And then the cab driver. I mean, the hearse driver.
Dr. Marcotte, Pamela Anderson.
Okay, sure. Why not?
I think she
And
can
then
handle 3 lines.
The hearse driver. Oh god, I just had his name. Doc from Back to the Future.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
God, I love some Christopher Lloyd.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
I really like this segment. And I
Yeah.
really do. Jackson, would you be willing to do this like once a month? Come on and you don't watch a movie and we just talk about it and
Yeah.
do a thing?
Sure,
Yeah,
this
sure.
is great.
Hey,
I like
You
this.
gotta pick a
episode.
movie designed for it.
Oh yeah, we can make some
Oh
stuff
yeah,
up.
well, you can make
Pick,
it
pick
happen.
one you're like, you want to paint a picture.
All right, next time we have him on, we're going to be talking about The Lion King, a story about 2 lions.
It reminds me, this reminds me of the Office episode when they're like, did you the Office episode when they're like talking about all of that and Pam's like, my aunt used to be a boxer. Do you remember? And they're like talking about like it's all
What
the grief.
show?
The Office.
The Office,
Oh.
the last episode.
And then like the one where they're all in like they're doing the grief or whatever, and Michael's like asking them
Yeah.
their stories, and then Ryan's like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
my
they just
cousin
start.
Mufasa.
Yeah,
That's, oh my god.
that was good.
It's one of my favorite episodes. And then I forget what Andy says, but it's like, or Dwight. Or no, it's Kevin. Kevin says something that's just like super like.
It's Michael.
It's Michael. No, wait, it's Creed.
Michael's the one that's doing it. No, and Kevin's the one that
They're
says
tossing
something
around
that's
the
like
ball.
really, yeah. And Kevin says something that's really obvious, and Michael's like, okay, y'all are just messing with
Yeah.
me.
What was he talking
But it's
about?
like Pam does $1 Million Baby, and then Ryan does The Lion King, and then Kevin does
Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes.
Yes.
And he's like, so my uncle died.
Of course, that's the one that Michael realizes, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just talking about The Office now. Bone Plugs and Harmony.
We're gonna save that for our sister podcast.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's what our podcast will be called.
I like that.
And Stanley, whoever played Stanley, would come on all the time.
Oh my god.
God, I
so
would love to meet him.
Bone Plugs and Harmony.
Bone Plugs and Harmony.
Jackson still does our theme music, so thank you to Jackson King
Thanks,
for our intro
Jackson.
outro music.
Hey, you got it, friends.
Listen to Capture Theory.
Great band.
Check us out. Stay on the lookout for potential new podcast. Poking plot holes. Stay on the lookout. The Jackson King. Find me on the social
Twitter.
media.
Zachary.
You can. I'm gonna have a show coming up pretty soon. It's called A Comedian, and it deals with supernatural and supernaturally funny people like myself, and we deal with some the insecurities of what it means to be a person who wants to pursue comedy, and how he relies on a supporting cast to get him to the point where he can get on stage and start to realize his dreams. And these supporting cast include, but are not limited to, maybe people from Paradise Lost, or characters rather from Paradise Lost, the epic novel or epic poem written by John Milton.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is you're going to press the @ symbol on your keyboard, and then have your sister's newborn baby come in, and she'll whisper what the actual it's a girl. She'll whisper what the actual Twitter handle is in your name. Whenever she says it, she'll be saying it backwards, so you're gonna have to reverse whatever she says. So that's my Twitter handle.
Oh my god. I'm on Twitter at Bailey McLeod. Hello Giggles, go to the third page of contributors on there.
Zoe Deschanel shared one of your stories.
Okay, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No,
Zoe
I didn't hear
Deschanel.
about that. What?
Her
Shared one of her-
Facebook
That's
page
dope.
anyway.
Her Facebook page, which is official, and has a little check mark by it, so it's actually Zoe Deschanel. Shared one of Bailey's
That's
stories.
awesome, Bailey.
Okay.
This girl.
It's not a big deal.
And she's the new girl at Hello Giggles.
What?
And then I have a blog that's nobodyputsbaileyinthecorner.wordpress.com. Also, thank you to Lauren Mims for our cover art.
Thank you,
for
Lauren. Thank you, Lauren.
Super cool stuff. Go to laurensleymims.com. Yeah, and so next week we will be back to a regular schedule. So one until October, and then we're absolutely batshit crazy. So we'll talk to you about that later and how that's gonna work.
Yep.
So yeah, that's everything. Happy birthday,
Happy
Zachy boy.
Thank you. Hopefully I don't die.
Yeah, we're having to record this in advance because Zach's gonna be so drunk that he would probably just
if I
lay
do
face
die, I might
first.
become famous
Postmortem.
Postmodern.
Postmodern.
Post modem is whenever
Post-it note.
Well, post modem is of course whenever your computer doesn't need a modem anymore to connect to the internet.
Yeah.
We just kind of all plug into the same hive mind that will be, of course, run through the brain of Donald Trump,
Yeah, we'll see.
Our next president.
our next president.
Yeah,
He might be president by the time this episode airs.
God. We have to record this in advance because if Zach's drunk, he'll just fall over on the keyboard, and then all that'll pull up is his Twitter handle, and then we'll just have to look at all of his tweets for the
It's
rest
fun to
of
come
the
up with
night.
those, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's so much fun.
A baby whispering in an ear. That was a new one.
The Indian, and
newborn.
the Indian in the cupboard reference that y'all have heard by now is probably my favorite so far.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's everything, Demon Heads. We will catch you next
What
week.
did I say for the... Oh, okay, yeah, I remember.
And remember, ghosts have feelings too.
It's my all girls gonna live.
Casting Out Demons is a podcast for your ears. It is created by Bailey McLeod Perkins, starring Bailey McLeod Perkins, Zach T. Busby. Original music brought to you by Jackson King. Original cover art brought to you by Lauren Cecilia Mims. Casting Out Demons is originally scored by Zach T. Busby. There's some other things probably that I can say here, but I'm not going to say them. Words are wasted on people. Save them for the cats. This is a part of my hashtag Talk to Only Cats campaign. We accept $5 donations in the form of putting $5 in the mailbox and waiting for me to come and get it. Thank you.